Welcome back to the morning show. It's time for Motivational Monday, and it's that time of the year when people start asking each other whether they're making a New Year's resolution.
That's right. You might feel pressure to think about setting goals related to your health, your hobbies, even finances or career. But therapist Jolie Carsten is sharing how there isn't much research to support the concept of New Year's resolutions being worth your time and all that stress. Hey, Jolie, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for being here. So first and foremost, we're going to stop setting resolutions and start setting boundaries. Tell us what that means.
Well, I mean, I think first of all, it's important to recognize that even though we have the best of intentions going into a new year, like, oh, I just want to start, exercising 3 times a week, or I want to, make sure I'm eating fruits and vegetables 5 times a day. Most of the research shows that, by the end of January, at least 50% of people have sort of thrown those aside. And by the mid-February, 80% of people.
Wow.
So what that kind of means is we're maybe starting with the wrong thing. And when we're talking about setting goals or resolutions, we're usually focusing on our actions. But that skips all of the internal work that goes into making changes. If we start with our thoughts instead, then we're going to use those thoughts to give us motivation, to give us accountability, and that's what boundaries really do. Boundaries are a way of giving ourselves sort of some way of changing from the inside out, creating a very safe space for us to be able to achieve that growth. So if we have our thoughts sort of like motivating and pushing forward our actions, we're going to have a better sense of accountability. Because even though we all sort of like really benefit from external accountability with other people or external sources are sort of like pushing us, when our thoughts are set by boundaries are motivating us, it's more like an inspiration. It's pulling us along in a way we want to go. And another way of thinking about that too is it's really protecting you from all the energy vampires in your life. Don't know if you can relate, but most of us have people in our life who, when we go to interact with them, we almost have to prep ourselves ahead of time. Because, we end up feeling a little depleted afterwards rather than filled up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So instead, if we sort of set these boundaries around our relationships, around our health, around our, whatever it is we're wanting to sort of make changes in our life, we're going to set up this safe space. Because, like, if your house didn't have a door on it, would that change how safe you felt inside of your house?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It would.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to kind of go off that a little bit, if we are, I guess, interacting with people who kind of cross those boundaries going into the new year, what would be the best way to react to that, I guess?
Well, one of the things about setting boundaries is we usually do think of it that way. Like, I'm setting a boundary for what I want you to do or not do with me. So you have crossed my boundaries. But really, it's quite the opposite. Our boundaries are our way of saying, this is what I will tolerate. This is what I won't tolerate. This is what I will do. This is what I won't do. So if we focus it on ourselves, it's much easier to follow through on. Because the only things that we actually control in life are our thoughts, our emotions, and our choices. Unfortunately, we just can't force other people to do what we want them to do. We have to focus on ourselves.
That's for sure. So, Jolie, this is really like a complete mindset shift. So give us some examples on how we can actually maybe have some ideas on how to start this.
Absolutely. It is a mindset shift because what it does is it forces us to go backwards into why I actually want to set this goal for myself. So if I have a goal about wanting to exercise more, why is that? Maybe it's because I really value my health. Maybe it's because I want to create a higher quality of life for myself. So my boundary can then become, I am, like, say I want to take a walk every morning. So I value my morning walk time, and I will not allow other tasks to take over that morning walk time, right? So I'm saying what I want to do sort of because it's matching my values and my needs. A lot of times when we think about boundaries, though, we're really also thinking about like those energy vampires, right? We're thinking about how this affects how we interact with other people or how we allow other people to interact with us. So in conversations, we can be upset by somebody else sort of interacting with us in an aggressive way, say like, yelling, raising their voice, having an angry tone of voice. And we can't change them, though. So we can't say, you have crossed my boundary. You have have to stop yelling. What we can say is, I'm willing to participate in a conversation with you when it's calm, right? So we can say, and what that looks like in a concrete way, if we're in a conversation with somebody, is I can see that right now things aren't calm. I'm willing to talk again when, we've had a break and we're both feeling calm. So it tells you what you are willing to do. Or a lot of people have resolutions about money, right? So instead of saying like, okay, I'm going to make this very strict spending plan, which may or may not work, we can say like, okay, I'm going to spend the money that I have planned. And that means every time I go to make a decision about money, I have to give thought to it and say, did I plan this? And if not, then I'm going to give it more thought. Or even thinking about food, right? Like 80% of New Year's resolutions are about health, either about exercise or weight loss, changing the way that we move or changing the way that we eat. So if instead I say like, I eat mindfully, and that's my boundary. So I do not allow myself to eat mindlessly. That boundary then allows me to make decisions that are in alignment with those plans, those thoughts that I have.
Can you tell us what kind of feeling it is to be able to set boundaries, especially in 2021? I mean, we're kind of experiencing a difficult time right now versus those New Year's resolutions. I mean, what's going to be the mindset of somebody who sets boundaries versus somebody who sets a New Year's resolution in about 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think that's just a really great point, especially with the year that we've just come out of. And there's a lot of anticipation about going into 2021 as like this really fresh start. Like, let's just take 2020 and throw it over our shoulder, like, like throw the salt over your shoulder and moving forward into something. And so sometimes that can really set us up for a possible failure if we put so much into one thing. So if we want to make these changes in our life by identifying and prioritizing what our values and our needs are, it can allow us to stay in alignment with ourselves rather than focusing on what we think the outside world expects of us. It's sort of like during, for some people during like the shutdown kind of areas, there was a lot of people at home saying like, okay, well, this is a great time to learn a new language or to, learn how to bake bread, right? And yet it was also totally okay to say, you know what, this is a great time to binge watch some TV because I am stressed out, right? So it's okay not to have to do everything that you think other people expect of you, and instead decide what values and needs fit in your life, and then sort of set that fence around that yourself so that you are protected.
Jolie, that's a great point to end on. If somebody is interested, maybe they need a little help to get that kickstart going for 2021, and they might need to get in touch with you and make an appointment. How can they find you?
Best way is to email me, Jolie at joliecarsten.com.
All right, Jolie, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you this Monday.
Thank you, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Have a great week.